Three, two. Good morning. The date is March 27th, 2023 at 12:47 a.m. EST. This is Side B to Fortuitous Footnotes from 2014. We are Ken Mide. I'm Chris Kennard, and I'm joined by my brother from another mother, the living abstraction, cosmic abstract, Ark and Tell, Aelor. How are you?
Ah, man, I am just really, really jazzed up to be back here back here. Like our last stream, quite a momentous occasion. Really, really thankful for what we're able to do. In fact, so thankful I got to reach out to our special guest from last time, because quite the presence to have. But since then, just trying to kind of live life, and trying to keep on moving forward towards the future. Funny enough, in terms of certain personal stuff that's happened. I was at a thrift store not that long ago, and I ended up getting into a pretty lively conversation with a fellow person who was looking through the records section, and it was from me looking through the record section with that a lot of really cool stuff that I will be showing to you guys more in the future. But one thing in particular that I'm so absolutely shocked that I was actually able to get a physical copy of is the Walt Disney Records Mickey Mouse Disco album from 1979, which yes was basically just kind of an attempt, obviously true to the title, was kind of the attempt to kind of hatch in with the disco scene at the time, and a lot of silly disco novelty songs like Disco Mickey Mouse, Macho Duck. Yeah, that's a real song here.
That's what they
Watch
called me
out
in
for Goofy.
college.
uh, and but okay, but there is but there is some pretty interesting history with this album, because and something that I pointed out to Chris, is that one of the songs, a disco reinterpretation of It's a Small World After All, which has a really cool funky guitar riff, dun, 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 dun. And while this album was pretty much, it came and went like you would expect it to,
A
it would
novelty item,
achieve an
yes.
yes, it would achieve an interesting second life, because in the 90s, a quite peculiar producer who I have a good fondness for, who Mr. Norman Cook, who we better know as Fatboy Slim, would take this song along with various other like not that well known tunes, and sample all of them into what I truly consider one of the great songs of the 90s, Praise You, Praise You, which sadly I do not own on vinyl yet. But however, I do own the next
Christmas
best
is
thing,
coming, so
with
I'll keep that
that
in
I
mind.
own it. Yeah, thanks, much appreciated. I own the Spike Jones collection of music videos on DVD. This is something they actually used to do before, like, YouTube was really a thing. And of
Or
the
like at the same
many,
time.
many, many, yeah, they all kind of commingle. And of the many um legendary music videos the man made, and he has and this is and to be honest, a part of me still kind of loves him more for his music videos than for his films. I love her. I think hers is wonderful, beautiful compliments to Lost in Translation. But when I think of why Spike Jones is really cool, I mainly think of his music videos. But among many, many lovely music videos on here, Buddy Holly by Weezer, Feel the Pain, Dinosaur Jr. Shout out to Electrobank from the Chemical Brothers, for which the star of that music video would be the woman who would end up being his wife, Miss Sofia Coppola, that Sofia Coppola, and their
Oh,
connection. Yeah. Because the not the interesting history I'll share. But indeed, one of the music videos included is indeed I don't know, I can't see it, "Praise You" by Fatboy Slim, which sadly does not have commentary by the man himself, but it does have commentary. It does include commentary from Fatboy Slim himself. So yeah. In case you guys really, really wanted to know how much of a truly, truly cultured fellow I at least try to convince you guys that I am. But enough about me. How have you been?
fine. We'll talk about it. As you can clearly read from the description, if you are live with us now or watching it in the future, this afternoon, all residents of Philadelphia received a text message that the water is unclean, or rather unsafe to drink from. If you want the explicit details, you can go on platforms like Billy Penn and the Philadelphia Inquirer if you can get past the paywall. I spent the last 20 or so minutes cleaning plastic containers that I've accrued from various corner shops to just like keep water in my fridge, because who knows how long this is going to take to just like, I don't know, just scope out for the foreseeable future. But this city is just like the third in recent memory to have undergone such a unfortunate reality. When I text, I have a group chat from my hometown where Ramade and I are from, and they were just like, "You need to come home. You need to like find a way to break your lease. We'll find you a job. We'll find you. You can rent a room here that's like significantly cheaper." And that all sounds wonderful, but I'd have to give up my city life, and I don't want to give up my city life. It almost feels like I just got here, even though I've been here for quite some time. But there's been significant change in my life since last summer, and I want to just like make the time to like confront it and see what it all means, and to just like abandon this city, which I feel like has become my city, seems like a coward's. It seems cowardly, but I just like would hate to see this happen somewhere else in the country, and we just have to like just sit and watch it happen and not do anything about it. I hate the idea that like people in Flint and East Palestine just have to live their lives knowing that the representatives let something so dangerous and volatile take place, and you just have to live like your everyday life as a result of that. And I don't want to like accept that if that has to be my reality for the next month or so or year. But if that's the case, like I want to turn up like the French and like the Israelites are doing with their governments when bad things take place. And like I don't want to go to jail and never come back, but I want to do something where like people who would just say, "Oh, well, that's just how things go," at least bear witness to me and like think about why I would get so agitated and be so just like so pissed off on Maine. You know what I mean? Like think about you, Lord, how you would see people like in your day-to-day interactions, be it in your job or in your casual like free time, or just like out on the street, just visibly just like being like, like very, very agitated, and oh, bet I'm gonna go around that in an altercation or person because I don't want to get caught up in the midst of that. I feel as though in the world that we live in now, we can't like just like, because sometimes I'll see like something a little That's I'll see something that gives me cause for concern, and I'll just like turn around or cross the street. And the things that are like just like upsetting, like the apple cart, are becoming things we cannot ignore, and we have to just like walk through the storm, or brace ourselves as we walk by the calamity. And now some of us have nowhere to run, and so um I pray that like you or anyone that you love isn't in a position like my own. And maybe I'm just being over fucking dramatic, and this will all be over in a week. But it's just the fact that like certain civilians, everyday people, working class people, just have to deal with the world taking a shit on them. And that's just what's been on my mind as of recently. It all fucking relates back to records and shit. One of my favorite artists, Boy Jr., contracted COVID after like going on 2 successful tours, and was on Twitter talking to like or at least interacting with Scotttoon Network, Jeremy Hunter, in regards to just how fucking hard it is for artists who don't have any significant financial backing to get on the road, to play shows, to be offered the human decency as an entertainer, as like a regular person deserves to have. But like we don't seem to think about those sort of things as often as we should, as consumers of arts, and as like people who wish to like just step into that world full time. Like you go I don't know about you, when I go to my job and people are like, oh, why the fuck are you still doing this shit? And it's just like, cause like, yeah, making your dreams come true is fucking expensive and almost impossible. And like, you do what you can. And that was a conversation we were having for at least the last 10 minutes before we even turned the cameras on, about, oh, like, there are so many things that I have to do, there's so many things that I want to do, and oftentimes those things do not intersect, they do not connect. And that's all that we seem to be working for. And we present a very just like interesting like yin and yang. Like you have a very wholesome story about like just like finding like a sample that most people would even fucking think about. They probably heard Praise You one time in the 90s, or heard it over and over again, and fucking can't stand that record. And I'm over here thinking about how like, oh, I was gonna like spend my last $10 on going to the laundromat, but instead I bought 10 giant ass deer parks, and I'll be using that to boil my water for spaghetti in a week. But in a, but so in order to like escape these just like overwhelming societal woes, we have 6 songs from 2014 to talk about. Unlike side A of Fortuitous Footnotes, we will not take up 3.5 hours of your time. At best, we'll maybe take up 2, because that's how long we tend to run with these things, even without having a very special guest. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to Benjamin Booker, taking time from all the way down under to like just like hold vibes with us and talk about some interesting records. And before we continue, I would be remiss if I did not include 2 words that I think that our conversation lacked. It's a phrase that I've stolen from 2 Minutes to Late Night. So apologies in advance. Please charge it to my head and not to my heart. And please do not sue me, because I have no money. The phrase is scandal acknowledged. I use it today in the 3rd episode of Haystack Hates Your Music, because T.I. came up, who allegedly did some fucked up shit. For the record, Ken Mide Presents stands with all victims of abuse, alleged or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in regards to me saying scandal acknowledged, I want to bring up the fact that it didn't come up in our conversation that both Freddie and Rick have just like Rick just had like that really fucking awful bar on UOENO, and apologized in the public, lost a deal from a very high up brand as a result of that. But to be honest with you, I never quite made my peace with it, personally speaking. I want to acknowledge that. I also want to acknowledge the fact that I have heard Rick Ross use the F slur in a song or in a verse on 2 separate occasions. The first of which on a big song placement with Meek Mill and Jay-Z. And on the second occasion, I didn't even know the record, but I was on the train going home, and some fellas like to play their songs really loud on the train or on the bus or on the block. And someone was playing some Ross, and like he says the F slur. And I'm like, this can't be the same song that I heard with Meek and Hove on it. But it's just like, son, it is super annoying to me when straight black men, fix their face to say slurs that are not theirs. We already have the N-word, and that's more than enough for cis black men. So, scandal acknowledged. That's part 1. In regards to Freddie, yes, I am very aware of the case that took place when Freddie was in Europe. I am aware that like he was, I guess the term was exonerated for the crime he was accused of. I don't really want to say it out loud because it's a triggering word to say. What really just like gets into my spirit personally was the age of the person that accused Freddie of the crime. And like if we are to believe if the public is to believe what we were told and that no crime took place, thank God. I'm glad that nobody was harmed if that was indeed the case. But the fact remains the age gap was startling. And this is for the record, in case any lawyers fucking listening to this podcast, it is all hearsay because I saw it on Twitter and heard about it on various blogs and other podcasts and Complex and Pigeon, whoever the fuck reported on the goddamn thing. It comes up if you like put in like Freddie Gibbs Me Too. You know what I'm saying? Like scandal fucking acknowledged. I acknowledge the fact that Freddie Gibbs is one of the most important rappers to ever hold the mic. I also acknowledge that what he was accused of is it's no laughing matter. It is very fucking serious, especially in like the rap industry where just like the treatment of women is not important whatsoever fucking ever. And you can take that to the goddamn bank. I just wanted to make sure like we took a moment to acknowledge those things because they are important. And often these things are not talked about because it's like, oh, but they're a legend. But oh, they made this song or this record. Son, fuck all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I've said it, like I briefly mentioned it on my station head broadcast one time. I don't even listen to Michael Jackson anymore, dog. And like I just won't go down that path with you. I won't have that conversation. Like scandal acknowledged. Like the records are what they are. We all know if you grew up with that shit. But like there's far more important things that I haven't even yet heard that I want to talk about at some point. And I'd rather keep all that stuff outside of my listening habits to make space for things that actually need my streams, that actually need me to like take up for them. I'm just sick of like, because to bring up like Scottu Network, Jeremy Hunter again, they have spoken in detail about how like, oh, I've taken out 2 credit cards to like break even on this shit. The Patreon, the merch, the covers, like making an album, being in like We Are the Union, like contributing to like television and video games and teaching music, and still just like just getting financially just like mollywopped by the United States of America. And that shit to me is way more important than like my top 5 dead or alive. And I apologize if this is all I've said a lot, but just like there's gonna be that one person who wants to just like dunk on the 2 of us for not bringing that stuff up. It is important, and like I'm just a regular schmuck. Aylor is just like a regular fucking schmuck. And so like this show isn't just for like the possibility of getting clout. You know what I'm saying? At best, like it's good for like a month, and then like you're back to being a regular schmuck. And any attempt to get back up that mountain will be met by like countless like jeers and insults and quote retweets. All I know is that like much like myself, Aylor loves art. And so like the
Mhm.
like the love of the records, the love of the people that make these records, like that is the shit I live for. Like knowing that like people that I love that make the records I love are like enjoying their lives and are just like getting what they put in, getting out what they put in to this music shit means everything to me. So with that in mind, let's fucking start the show, shall we?
Indeed,
Also,
indeed.
a big shout out to my sister and mom. They just got back from a weekend trip to Amsterdam, and they just got back to the United States safely. So shout out to Miranda and Elsia. I love you both very much. We have 6 songs on the docket for y'all. We covered at least 8 of them in side A. On side A, we talked about Rich is Gangsta by Rick Ross, Deeper by Freddie Gibbs and Madlib, Never by Patty Crash and The Roots, Have You Seen My Son by Benjamin Booker, Repeat Pleasure by How to Dress Well, I by Kendrick Lamar, Heavy Seas of Love by Damon Albarn, and Gust of Wind by Pharrell Williams and Daft Punk. Tonight we will cover the songs Boy in Love by BTS, not the one with Halsey, Fall in Love by Fantagram, not the song with Big Boy, Crescent by Animals as Leaders, I Know the Law by Wyoke, Digital Witness by Saint Vincent, and It's Holy by Veruca Salt. Now, much like side A, Aolor was like, let's start on BTS. And I was like, no, 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 not just yet. But now we actually can. Aolor, what is your history with this boy band, and what did you think of Boy in Love? And speak carefully because Army is always listening and they're always watching.
Okay, and shout out to the army. Let's link up. Let's make some vet together. Like I got,
I think
my relationship with the army is I love how it has been through the sheer willpower. It's been through the sheer willpower and ultra passion that our entire perception of K-pop in the last decade. Because hey, I was there in like 2010, 2011 when I'm hearing about K-pop, and it was mad niche, like and it was pretty much just kind of assumed that it was going to be some trend, some musical trend that we would forget about in 3 years. And now here we are. I'm hearing about a K-pop Broadway musical. There's supposed to be a film about a K-pop, like a comedy about a K-pop group that gets stranded in Texas that's supposed to come out soon. It's basically just Cars, but with a K-pop group, and Cars was just basically Doc Hollywood, but animated. But the fact that we can look at something like K-pop like that now, hey man, hey, all up to that. And what crew has really been, I mean, there have been many crews, I mean, shots aside, by the way. But what crew has really been has been more influential in our perception of K-pop and really being able to take it seriously as a cultural touchstone in many countries, but especially in the United States, than BTS. And I'm guessing this was like back in their like really really early days. So back when they were still back, because yeah, because it's much like what I kind of expect when because now we think of like because we think of K-pop and how much it truly is the new evolution of the British invasion, and how much it like really really takes from black culture, which that's I mean that's a conversation for the next few minutes. But the thing recognized about K-pop was like I recognized about K-pop very very early on was like it definitely you could definitely and I guess this is probably why it might have appealed to you, is that it did this kind of weird scene kid esque energy in this song, just from the kind of rowdy guitars, and the fact, and yet at the same time they're all the members are trading their singing verses as if they're like in a cipher, or like as if they're like on a posse cut or something,
For sure.
which you know my relationship. Okay, well, I got on the BTS train pretty late. I mean, shout to designer, who did a track with BTS. I mean, and designer who, I mean, really should really I mean I was hoping that him doing that track with BTS would have like saved his career some more, but sadly no.
It
but
was a
but
bad
I but I
verse.
liked, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. The designer had the really bad luck of, like, as he was actually kind of improving as an artist, like, people just stopped caring. I remember that EP he did in like 2018. That, like, in the same year that the Good Music family would drop it their 7-song EPs, and yet it was not a part of it. And because it wasn't a part of it, nobody cared. I was like, I think I was like the only
I
one
hate to
who
see it.
even remembered that he was dropping that. Yeah, but but whatever, whatever. We ain't talking about those. We ain't talking about those guys, or or a certain CEO and how his opinion on Jonah Hill has changed his opinion on certain other people. We're not talking about that,
I'm sorry. I don't know what
but
you're talking
but
about.
okay, so yeah, it's been a weird few days. It's been a really weird few days. It's, yeah, but BTS and boy in love, and just even in this early time, they are just showing this wonderful, beautiful, infectious energy towards one another. This wonderful chemistry. I mean, which K-pop groups have in droves, but you really, really feel the hunger, the hunger for the hunger to not the hunger to truly to really be seen as top dogs of that K-pop scene. And when they became that, a hunger that would only continue to evolve as their prowess evolved. What appealed to you about this track?
Want to like just like go over my introduction to the group. Um
Hmm.
is with the title of this stream. We're covering songs from 2014, and what got me into BTS was a single from 2015 called "Dope." And shout out to P Dog for the production on that song. I was like doing dishes in my family home, and I was putting on Pandora. And when I heard "Dope," I'm like, "Yo, this is like Big Bang, but younger. More modern." And like I really like the beat. I love just like the way that like the guys do the verses. I love just like the dancing in that video. And so it's like, wow, like I need to like get into like who this group is. And this was before like they became like the most important boy band in idol music. I would think that still that by the time I heard this song, I would think that at the time EXO or EXO was still the most important boy band, at least from by my estimation of the culture at that time. I definitely got into Dope very late, and when I heard it, I'm like, okay, I can't like afford to ignore this group any longer. I want to get to know them better. And I would say that like Boy in Love came out during the edgier part of their career. I don't pay attention to like scandals with idols very often, but with the most recent Twice incident with one of the members wearing some QAnon merch and like a t-shirt
Yeah, yeah.
with a swastika on it, like I can't afford not to just be aware of these things, and especially when it's with groups that I still keep up with. I had like at least like 10 songs I liked by Twice, but I don't know if I'm gonna listen to them anymore because I feel that when a company that like went, because I'm to like, because correct me if I'm wrong, but like Twice was the national like girl group in South Korea, at least for a time, if not currently, in regards to just like mainstream popularity. for the genre. Maybe that's like New Jeans and Blackpink now, but for a while it was just Twice because they're that good. And when and I know that like a lot of things are chosen for idols, hairstyles, clothing choices, and for no one to not just like catch that shit is like, man, there's just a huge disconnect with things that are inappropriate. Cause like one of the other members, I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I'm not gonna attempt it, but I know how to spell it. I'll put it on screen real quick. This particular member Twice, correct me if I'm wrong, once, but like she's Chinese, right? And I think uh well hold on, let me just find out because I don't say something stupid because this is important. Okay,
Yeah,
this particular
because
member of the group,
yeah,
she's Taiwanese,
uh-huh,
and I think the
uh-huh.
Chinese were offended by something that she either wore or said or did, and like I think like the company was like threatened to like apologize for something that I think that like she didn't even do intentionally, and like people really just like raked her over the coals for it, and it wasn't really even her fault, and people made her feel terrible about it for a long time. I don't think that the two things are equatable, but like it came up when like this incident took place, and I want to make sure that like I acknowledge that shit because I'm a big purveyor of like, yo, K-pop is valid, like this shit is interesting, it's fun, you should get into it. And most black folks like, oh, this shit is just like it's just like eating off our plate. And I'm like, there are definitely clear examples of that, but I don't really think like BTS are like that, like do it that egregiously, if at all. I cut you off, sir. Was something you wanted to add?
I was just gonna ask, since you can acknowledge that, how much stuff like this is chosen, stuff like this is chosen for the idols. That whole situation with Twice, which I've heard about it myself, and herself has she has apologized.
Fighting.
How much response? Yeah, how much responsibility do you put on her versus her team? Because this is I would I mean, my association with this scene is, I it's very much very minimal, one more of acknowledgement as opposed to actual involvement. But
Endorsement.
even then, I could just say, yes, yes. And even that, I could say it was clearly just cultural. I would have put that situation, which obviously I'm not going to defend, because if
We're
if you
all
ever
adults
find
here.
me saying, yeah, exactly. If you ever find me saying something about saying anything remotely about positive about QAnon, that is your sign that I have been kidnapped. That is your sign that I have been kidnapped. I am being held
Or
hostage.
brainwashed.
Please call the authorities. But but even that, I always kind of saw that as like just really bad cultural ignorance gone wrong. And if in that, and with that context, how much can you forgive that?
Two specific examples for this. So I'm glad you brought it up. Um,
Hmm.
with I could totally see the possibility of someone not having context for a QAnon shirt. I can totally see that. With the other shirt though, absolutely fucking not. With the other shirt that was like brought up, that was like let's got shorty in hot water. No way, dog. That's completely on you as an adult to have known better. I don't even want to say the term. I don't even want to like, and like I only mentioned it because, and this is like a huge shot in the dark. Allegedly, a bunch of allegedlys on this. I
Hmm.
I think think I think I was on Tumblr once and I saw a photo shoot for BTS around this particular comeback because that's how we refer to the big singles for idols like their comebacks. You know what I'm saying? And I only know because in this particular photo shoot, Rap Monster RM has blue hair, like in same color hair for the video for Boy in Love, and like they're like they're dressed all suave and like, but they're in a specific grave site that's just like, and like I believe that like they had certain like jewelry and like haircuts that were just like extremely inappropriate for where they were taking the pictures. And I for that specific incident, I do not blame the idols. That is to say, the boys in BTS. I held the company accountable in that specific example. Since that time, the labels changed names, and the folks responsible for the boys, either they've all been fired or they've all stepped down. To my knowledge, I have not verified this information. This is what I have been told by Army or folks who just were like aware of the situation based on the information that I read but did not verify. That's one. The second thing that just like rubbed me the wrong way was there was a girl group, and I'm not gonna say the name of the member of the group because I don't want fucking smoke from nobody. You know what I'm saying? There's this one specific girl group. I'll still mention the label though, SM Entertainment, and one of the members is from Canada. And so, like she speaks English, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I believe she was being asked by they're on like a on a show, and she was asked to like do like a Valley Girl accent. Oh ha ha ha, Americans, you know what I'm saying? Westerners, they're so funny. White people, ha ha ha. But then she was then asked to like do either a black scent or like, oh, how do like black people talk? And just did like the Z snap formation and did like a neck roll and said girl or some shit equivalent to that. And like this was one of my favorite girl groups. And I'm just like, oh, this sucks. And a similar one of like the idols on that in that company was in hot water for like sporting cornrows. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
like had to apologize, written apology and all that shit. And I'm just like, oh, like certainly there'll be like a written apology from the label or somebody apologizing for like impersonating a black person on a show, on a variety show, but it never happened. And like, you know, idol groups as big as the one that I'm talking about will often like just like go to bat against strangers who may not either have context or just talking shit. I definitely had a back and forth with one particular soloist over like just like, oh, like I think I was like talking shit because I think the song sucked, but it's like the artist was looking very fine in the video. You know what I'm saying? It was on the beach, looking, looking very looking very, she was on some hot girl
Ooh la
shit,
la.
like
Yeah.
the ooh la
Yeah.
la, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, like she looks
Mhm.
fire, but like I at the time like I have a partner, so like if I'm not like here to like oogle and ogle at the artist, I want the song to like be a banger, you know what I mean? But I didn't think the song was a banger. And I'm like, oh, this like reminds me of like a Fifth Harmony song or a Tinashe song, and like some person was like, bro, like how dare you like equate this artist with those artists? And I'm like, they're all basically in the same boat, homie. But like and eventually like
Yeah,
we
come
came
on.
like we all know, and like why I say what I say, and I'm not trying to be shitty, but I'm just like, oh, like I guarantee like you could give this song to one of those artists and like you pretty much maybe get the same result because I'm like, oh, it reminds me of Super Love by Tinashe and stuff like that. And they're like, oh no, it's not like that. But I'm like, but it basically is, honestly. But we eventually just like agreed to disagree, and not like, oh, let me just keep streaming this song. Cause like at the end of the day, it's like, oh, like big fan bases want the numbers to like need numbers for their favorite star so they can keep on making hits. And they're not wrong. I recall when, say, one of my favorite girl groups at the time, Brave Girls, broke up this year. And I had no fucking idea. And they had a brief resurgence of popularity only because one of their songs went viral. And it was an older song, but it was still one of their best songs. So, and like a great song is gonna like find the right ear sometimes. And so, and like they're like the first time they thought they were gonna break up, they're packing up their shit ready to go home for good. But it's like, oh, like you get a second chance, and like it was like, like the song was performing well on like variety shows and such. And so we're gonna squeeze out a couple more joints, but it's still just it did not last. And it's so crazy how like in idol music, if your song's not cracking, if your song isn't like cracking like that million million view benchmark within like the first week, like you're dead weight, and that fucking sucks because people in the DIY world will like maybe crack 2,000 streams on a song and act like they want a Grammy, and I love that for them. I'm very much a person like,
As
oh,
they
let's
should,
get this
as they
person.
should. Yeah.
Let's get a person like 100 views on a song. Let's get them to like 100 subscribers. Let's get them like 100 followers because that shit fucking matters. We are all playing a numbers game in this world. But I fucking digress. Boy in Love is like, yeah, like I remember I remember when I really like when I was listening to the song all the time, I made a post on like a website saying, oh, could BTS play Warped Tour? Because like, like you get a really popular band to play a
Yeah.
festival, people will come to the show and maybe they'll leave early, but like it's going to generate ticket sales. And I recall fans being like, ew, no, why would they play that fucking festival? Because I'm like, yo, like this song is, it's punk rock, it's rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? There's some
Yeah,
guitar there.
yeah, like yeah, like
It's,
there's a reason why I asked, like because it feels like something. It's very much cape because even though that I don't like I don't have the most fortuitous knowledge of the K-pop scene. Even though I can acknowledge, I could acknowledge that there was a time when K-pop had its scene kid phase, and this feels really indicative of like a scene kid phase. Like that, this is the track that if granted, it's been eons since I ever stepped to a hot topic, and the only hot topic that I ever knew, much like the mall it was at, is now a thing of the past. But I could have completely seen this being at the said hot being played at
and
said hot topic.
honestly, and honestly, in 2014, if you played Boy in Love at the Hot Topic, the scene kids would be very pissy. Because I know that group. You know what I'm saying? On one hand, it's like these boys are cute and this video is edgy. There's definitely like a fucking scene in the video where one of the boys like presses Shorty up against the lockers kind of aggressively, and it's like, hey, yo, you know what I'm saying? And like they're like I'm looking at the lyrics of like the English translations, like there's lines it's like, oh, like you make me so angry and mad for no reason. I'm gonna flip the situation from friends to lovers. Like I'm getting nervous. Why do you keep teasing me? Say what you want. What is it that you really want? There was one other line that really kind of like that stood out to me when dog is like Jungkook is like, I'm so hungry for your love, I'll have you just watch. And I'm like, hey dog, you really have to like be that guy to
What these
talk like
lyrics?
that. And I'm like, bro, than
Yeah,
anybody else, you're getting stomped out by her brother and her cousins. Like real rap.
yeah.
But hey, it's like, oh, she'll be mine. Just you wait. And I'm like, all right, dog. Yo, shout out to Cookie, by the way. Shout out to all the boys in BTS. I wanted to make sure I acknowledged
Mhm,
all of them by
mhm,
name because like these guys are fucking cool, bro. And like it looks like they're all gonna
mhm.
be doing knocking out the required service back home. And like that's no small
Yes.
feat, and they've been working really, really hard for a long time. Like they've been working, they've been a group for 10 years, and usually like a group that's been together for 10 years doesn't sound as well as they do at this time. You know what I'm saying? That only
Mhm,
happens when you're the most popular group in the subgenre. So again, a big shout out to Jin, Suga, J Hope, RM, or Namjoon. You know what I'm saying? Jamin, V, and Jungkook, because you guys have worked really, really fucking hard, and like the records speak for themselves. Like I would say that I think that around the time like the DNA period of their success
mhm,
all the way to maybe
mhm,
like when did I like stop really like being into their shit? I would say like the year before Dynamite, I think would be where like stuff
mhm.
stopped being interesting for me personally.
Okay.
Because I feel like the English crossover stuff doesn't really like scratch the itch for me personally. Yeah, like the era between like say like War of Hormone, this song Boy in Love, Fire, Save Me, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Not Today, DNA, Mic Drop, the Steve Aoki mix without Designer. Um, um, is there anything else that I'm thinking of? I don't. Um, yeah, like there's one specific project that I'm thinking of that Fantano reviewed by this band, by this group, and I can't fucking think of what it's called. It has like a big 7 on it. This is gonna drive me crazy if I can't think of it.
Did it come out like around like
Oh,
like 2019?
it came out and it came out 3 years ago. It was it was Map of the Soul. Yeah, Map of the Soul had this
Okay.
one song on it called Ugh, which I really, really liked. Yeah, because it's yeah with like Boy With Love, which is the one with Halsey, which I did not care for at all. But it also has
Yeah.
like the one song Dionysus, which is really, really, really good. As far as because like the boys are really rapping on that motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like Ugh
Cool.
and Dionysus or like the last like so like around like 2020 was like so after like a good 5-year period where like they were putting out continuously great shit in my personal opinion. But after that, I'm like, I think like it's just for me personally like window dressing. You know what I'm saying? Like lighthearted stuff that you know is gonna sell well because these boys are just oozing charisma. You know what I'm saying? Dress well, they're cute as a button. You know what I'm saying? What more can you fucking ask for? We have spent far too much time on this song, but thank you for letting me cook.
I mean, it's a territory you understand far better than I do, so all good. And yes,
Anagram?
and so yes,
I
Phantogram,
cut you off.
a
I cut you off. Keep
song
going.
that
I cut you
much
off. Keep going. Keep going.
no yeah, so Phantogram, Fall in Love, a song that I definitely have my memories with.
Here we go.
A song which much like Pharrell's Gust of Wind, if you didn't put this, I probably would have myself. Though granted, because I'm like really, really anal about these things. And because like apparently the album actually came out in 2013, I would probably have
Fuck you. Really?
took it out. Yeah, because I don't know. I put in a lot of rules. I put in a lot of rules on myself. Like
Pause. Pause.
I'm
Pause.
like
Oh,
uh-huh.
motherfucker. Okay. All right. Hang on. So I so based on what Aylor is saying, this album came out on January 1st in 2013, but the one that I see came out on February 18th in 2014. What the fuck is up with that shit? Keep talking while I look this shit up. This is so
Wait,
confusing to
what?
me.
Ah,
Exactly.
great. Ah, jeez. Spotify,
See, I didn't
please.
believe you.
Spotify,
Yeah,
please. Stop putting you man, do you jeez, you just put this man in a position where he could get blasted for not being consistent. I mean, jeez, come on, Spotify.
wait,
I mean,
okay, 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 okay,
don't be
okay.
setting us up like that. But okay.
Hold on. Okay, so like,
Okay.
I want to hear how you know that album came out in 2013 because according to both Spotify and Wikipedia, this motherfucker came out on February 18th. Via
Because
Republic.
yeah,
So
I was because when I clicked on the song, and I went to the album page. It said, and you know where it lists like release dates. It said 2013. I was like, oh wait, did it actually come out in 2013? I gotta check it. I'll check it out on my phone right now. I'll check it out on my phone right now because
okay, okay. So check me out. Check
I'm
me
not
out.
good.
Let me cook. Let me
Uh
cook.
huh.
Shout out to Evan Minsker because Pitchfork reported on December 13th, 23rd, no, December 9th, 2013, the single came out, Fall in Love. The album was announced. And yes, all right, verified via the music press that the album came out on February 18th in 2014. The single dropped early
Okay.
the
Okay.
single
So
dropped late.
Okay, so that thankfully clears all that. It thankfully clears all that. Spotify, please get better at like acknowledging all of this stuff. But but much like with for Pharrell's Gust of Wind, if you hadn't put in this, I would have probably put this myself because I remember hearing this song, especially like I believe like summer of 2014, and just being so taken away by it. This really, this this really lush, dancey, trippy as well. So song that I guess fully complements the joy of its title sake. And Phantogram had been in the scene. I mean, they had released their first album around 2010, I believe, 2010,
Hmm.
2011,
Pilot
2010,
movies.
2011. Yeah, and really, 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 really cool album. Could not have imagined that they would have gotten as big as they did, where by the next year they would be doing a collaboration with Big Boy of all people, which
The Grams.
considering yeah, yeah, yeah. Beautiful. I mean, and considering, gee, I don't want, Vonnet. Sorry, considering his Big Boy's fondness for Kate Bush, probably it's not that surprising that he would also show love to Fantagrams, and I believe Fantagrams were even on Big Boy's second solo album, not
One
Solutions
gram.
Slugfoot, but oh yeah, yeah, yes, yes. But and then about Big Boy, in his solo era, it's something that was like kind of pretty underrated. Like he was actually like really really cool about collaborating with like indie artists.
Agreed.
Mama told me which would end up we would probably better know it for the collaboration with when Kelly Rowland would end up being on that track. Originally, originally a Little Dragons collaboration, and Waves was on his second album, so he's like really, really like man. Which yeah, so yeah, so shout out to Big Boy for so many reasons, but especially for showing 20 in the 2010s well after be already being seen as the legend that he is, probably should be seen even more as the legend he is, but was still pushing things genre wise. But man, I absolutely adore this song. I mean, this was, because in me talking about that kind of era with like MTVU, and like the really cool like out there stuff they would play. This was one of them, and this was. And there's just so much to love about it. That kind of like that doom 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 doom, which it's very it's I don't know. Were they ever considered like trip hop? Because it's definitely feels
Yes.
like it takes from that. Exactly. That because that is it is so trip hop to the core. It's so trip hop to the core, man. It's so like this kind of like laid back and yet adventurous one two punch. And her vocals, man. It just syncs. It's mixed so well. It syncs so well into this, absolutely, absolutely charming song. I mean, much love to Miss Sarah Bartel, man. She really, really like delivered something incredibly captivating. And while it's not while this album would not do like Ariana Grande numbers, but it definitely is their most popular album as of now. I mean, yes. But what did you like about it?
I first wanted to point out that the records that Fanagram and Big Boy worked on before they did their collaboration album was for the album Vicious Lies and Dangerous Rumors. The indie artists that were on Sir Lesh's Left Foot were this one like white boy band that got featured on Warped Tour, which name I don't remember. They're on Follow Us Now, that I can't fucking remember. And then Janelle Monáe,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
and
I remember
Yellow
that.
Wolf. I'm gonna fucking look it up because it's gonna bother me if I don't. Like there's something about Fanagram that I kind of want to point out because like wait, I'm gonna look them up because it's gonna kill me if I don't think of it. It was Vonnegut. Yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes,
there are
yes,
no.
yes. I remember that. I remember that.
I'm surprised. I'm not
naming
surprised. I'm not
yourself after
surprised
one
that
of
you
my
don't. Yeah, Kurt. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Literally
fucking
one of my
like.
favorite artists.
Why am I even surprised?
Yeah.
If you know, you fucking know.
Yeah.
So like the Fantagram blueprint to success. And for I feel like a lot of motherfuckers who wanted to just like break into like the indie space is like, hey, folks, do you want to like make music and you can't start a band with 4 people? That's fine. Just find a indie singer songwriter, buy an NPC, and maybe you'll pop off. You know what I'm saying? Like the Jack Meg White formula of can't hire a bassist. Who the fuck needs one? Get some drums, plug in the guitar, scream into mic. You might make some shit shake. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Colts. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Best Coast. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're white and you want to like make music and you can't do it by yourself, odds are if you're somewhat decent at production and know a singer, you'll figure it out. It worked out for your Purity Ring and it might just work out for you. Shout out to Versa Emerge. it, it's a tried and true like fucking formula, and they are the proof of this. Not to shit on the method, because like I feel that only they can make the songs that they did, and they've been working as long as fucking BTS, if not longer than they have, on what they do. We haven't heard from Fantagram in quite some time, but like again, like those songs, they still hit, and it just like it takes me back to a specific point in time where like I was still like just like paying my dues. It was like year 3, 2014 was like year 3 of me being like a retail warrior, just killing myself, going to the mall every week, grinding at these jobs. And even still, like a song like this, even if not for this playlist, I listen to it quite often because it sounds cool. Like not only is it's like a meme to like buy an NPC and build beats, it's fucking fun. Like A-Rap music really changed the culture when that clip of him like chopping up a Skrillex song in a beat battle went viral. It's fucking cool to play one. Shit, I forgot about fucking Nowhere, because for a time that was also their identity. A really cool singer-songwriter with a weirdo with long hair who's white who can build a beat. You know what I'm saying? Like the shit actually works. And just like the way that dude chops up the beat on the chorus and like the whole song goes out when like he hits the button, it's fucking cool. Like again, Purity Ring, you've seen the dude set up. He hits the shit with his little drumsticks and then make like the plinkety plonkety noises. It fucking works, and the song is really fucking cool. This shit is specifically for weirdos like myself and Aelor, who just like can't like find like the like if you're not with like the rapper of the week and like wear the clothes, or like if you're not down with the cool kids, if you know like an indie tronica act with like good production qualities, you can hang out with the cool kids. You know what I'm saying? Because all you really need is a great beat and not say anything. But like everyone wants to fall in love, and like and I'm in love with this song. You know what I'm saying? I was in love with this song long before I wasn't actually in love. You know what I'm saying? It's like just that first minute really just speaks for itself. Like it's kind of like it has like a kind of like spooky vibe, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Do,
like
do,
and
do,
and and, and,
do, do.
and like like, I say all that bullshit and like they worked with fucking Big Boy. Like he like even if you don't like care for any like the solo shit the dude worked on, like he's consistently dropped because he wants to try ideas out. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he didn't
Like,
have to he didn't have to keep rapping after Andre didn't want to work with him. He could have just stopped. But like he keeps on putting shit out. And I
yeah.
cut you off, Ramadan. What are you going to say?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And keep in mind, Big Boy, big, Outcast went diamond, yo. They went diamond. So like, it's not even about. They don't need. They have nothing to prove to us anymore. To us anymore, man. Like and by all means, and let's and yeah, and I don't know. There's still this kind of debate over, oh, hey, like, was Andre really the Andre was just the creative one, but Big Boy was the street one, and which
Fuck
is
you.
complete nonsense.
Fuck
They were
you.
Big Boy, yeah, Big Boy was just as creative, and Andre was just as street. They
Yeah.
just,
Fuck you.
yeah, you know,
Fuck you. You know,
just
like fuck you. Straight up, like you don't care about black people. Like you just want to get your shit off. Your shitty 2 cents off. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like I feel like I'm about to be on like my hipster rant again. So let's move on. Yeah,
Yeah.
but once more time,
Um,
fuck you if you said that shit about Big Boy and Andre. You don't know those motherfuckers. Like I know, and I know like he's controversial now, but like he's like Andre said it on the Rick Rubin podcast. He had crazy ass like fucking writer's block. And he made the great fucking point that to be in hip hop, you need to be fucking hip. So if you were a fucking weirdo like myself or Aelor, and you weren't keeping up with shit that like is happening right the fuck now or for like the last 10 years, that's why we made fucking that's why you're getting like that's why people were like looking at you fucking strange because like you weren't in and like you were not making an effort to be in. Son, like relax.
and I yeah, and I remember how y'all treated Outkast at Coachella back in 2014, man. I saw that performance. That thing depressed the hell out of me. I've never seen so much disrespect for one of the most outright legendary, not just in hip hop, but music in general groups as well. I mean, I know it's been nearly 10 years, but I still hold a grudge over that. Anyone in that audience who was paying Outcast dust, I hope you feel ashamed for yourselves right away. But and
Ooh,
to
if we're
extend,
calling out
and I
motherfuckers,
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Fuck, I cut
Yeah,
you
no,
off.
no, it's like I can't think about that performance and hold a grudge on Andre for still not putting out stuff. I hope and pray he does, but I remember how y'all treated Outkast at Coachella, man. To hell with Coachella.
I hope he doesn't. I frankly hope he doesn't. I hope he never drops again. Why sully? Why fuck with the legacy? We know how fickle these motherfuckers are. It's like you want some shit,
Mhm.
and when it's the shit you don't want, it's like damn, he ruined his own legacy. And on one hand that's not even possible, but on the other it's like you motherfuckers are the worst. And if you're wondering if you're one of them, you probably are. Fuck you. One last thing I wanted to say tonight, while I was waiting for Aelor to like come to the stream, I saw that Zed played Ultra, which is one of like the big EDM festivals and shit, and he brought out
Mhm.
Ice Spice so she could perform her song No Clarity, and and
Mhm.
like the tweet that brought it to my attention was like, oh, I'm confused, and I'm like, because you're lame and you're a loser and you're probably not black. You know what I'm saying? Because like when Ice Spice like popped off with Munch, people saw like heard the song, people saw how cute she was, and checked out her back catalog. I know I was one of those people, and so one of those songs was No Clarity, which samples Clarity by Zed. Shout out to
Yeah,
Parker
heard it
Robinson.
too.
Oh, Porter Robinson.
Mhm.
And so like So she comes out, plays that song, and the crowd is like, they're like, "Who's this?" Because they're just a bunch of white people who just want to like, who want to mindlessly turn up. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's a star. You know what I'm saying? And like, for your like, and like from what I've seen at rap shows, and for at a rap show where a rapper is well loved by their audience, people come to the show, they rap the song right back to the rapper, and I love that. I need to see that kind of participation with an artist, so I know that they're like appreciated by like their base. You know what I'm saying? And for her to do that song with like just simply no, just like appreciation from the crowd is annoying to me. It seemed to me that was just like, oh, there's an artist here that's not the DJ. I guess I'll be excited instead of like, oh shit, it's fucking Ice Spice. Cause like, I'm telling you, son, like she could drop a new song and be the fuck out of here. When I mean that, when I say out of here, I mean like, oh, she'll be in the fucking stratosphere, hanging out with all the big stars for who knows how long. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Mhm.
so again, fuck you if you're just like, oh, I'm confused. Like you're a fucking weirdo. You're probably racist too. Fuck you. I'm really on 10 today. So like we're an hour into the stream.
Hey,
Let's try and finish. Let's try and finish before 2 hours. Let's try and rush through this shit, shall we?
oh, absolutely, man. And I'm like, and we've said so much about about Phantogram, and I'm more than excited for us to transition into Animal as leaders. A a really cool crew that you actually had introduced me to through station head. And I was always so taken aback by this. I mean, and one thing I dig about your taste is that you are consistent with your love for heavy metal, and in particular, very technical progressive heavy metal. And here we have this crew that all their stuff is instrumental. And well, with what I've heard, mainly from this particular album, I continue to be taken aback by taken aback by not just how technical it is that I really kind of dig it. I really kind of dig it when heavy metal is able to take elements of jazz, because it's something that's not as often recognized, but you can notice it when you see it, like a band like Atheist, for example, which was probably one of the great examples of jazz influence heavy metal. And that's the thing. The thing is much like how we have to kind of like remind people of the black roots, uh the black roots within rock and roll is that the same way I will argue that a good deal of punk rock actually kind of comes from like 50s and 60s R&B, which I'm probably going to have to go into a much bigger explanation for it. A lot of what we also love about heavy metal comes from jazz, in particular the drumming. How much we just love it, how like drummers can go like really go like really like full on out. That's very much taken from jazz and swing, and letting the drummers truly go crazy, do crazy, which you can definitely hear on this track present. And but and and yet, outside of that, there is, I, I don't I don't know whether it's like just in particular the guitars, how it kind of functions between it. You can notice how the guitars, it's functioning between very much going into this incredible blistering stratosphere, while still trying to keep a consistent rhythm, which is not easy. It makes me all the more impressed that they were actually able to do it. But
Um,
yeah, what's your relationship with this band, and in particular with Mr. Tassin Abasi?
so as the story goes, I'm staying on my friend's floor in Indiana, and I'm not sure if it's a friend from back home. I'm not sure where. I forget the origin of how I see the music video for CAFO, CAFO, from their first album. But it was the first like Animals album was produced explicitly by Tosin Abasi and Misha Mansour, who's like the lead guitarist and composer for Periphery. Shout out to Bethesda. And like Animals' leaders are from DC. It's Tosin Abasi, Javier Reyes, and Matt Garska, formerly Naveen Copperwees, uh who's a songwriter, drummer, and guitarist for uh Entheos with his wife Chinny Crab. But yeah, like if you go see this band, it's only three people. Like there's no bassist. I believe Tosin like tracks the bass and like but they just like play it
Mhm.
through the PA because it's cheaper to have three people in a band as opposed to four. And they play like extended range guitars, like everyone plays 8 string guitars. And Matt Garska, like as he will tell you, he was in like music college. I think he went to Berkeley, and he like heard the first Animals album, and he's like, "Bro, I'm gonna be in this band one day." And when Naveen left Animals, he's like, "I'm trying out," and he got the gig. He is one of the best drummers in the world, no question, no cap. And a big like bragging right of his is that I don't I don't edit my drums unless like I explicitly say so. And their most recent project, which came out last year, um it's called what is it called? It's called Parhesia. It came out last year, and at least like 3 out of the 4 songs, at least like 3 songs on that album, like you see like his current drum setup, you see what he's wearing on stage, you see him play the song to a backing track, like no hiccups, all just like, and this dude's like yoked, you know what I'm saying? Muscles on top of muscles, and like, like a lot of really cool people who helped to work on The Joy of Motion, which this song comes from. It's from 2014. And like Aelor says, to do this shit and to do it well is not easy, but like for lack of a better term, Tosin Abasi is my Jimi Hendrix, And what does Jimi Hendrix represent to me, to black people? He's just like the default people. He's like the default black person white people think about when they think about folks who look like us who play guitar. They don't really think about say who's that motherfucker who does I want to get away. They don't think of like Lenny Kravitz
Lenny
when they
Kravitz.
think of a black
Lenny Kravitz.
they
Yeah.
don't think of a black they don't think about him when they think about brothers who play guitar. Like he's more of just like, he's really hot, you know what I'm saying? And like he's a fashion figure and
Mhm.
he's in movies and such. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
dude can't sing and like shred, but like they don't even fucking think about Slash when they think about us and they think about blackness. I think about Tosin because like this is
Yeah.
an African man who makes his like who's a snappy ass dresser, you know what I'm saying? Great
Mhm.
hair and like has his own guitar company playing like these weird ass looking guitars, you know what I'm saying? And there's like so many like clips of dudes doing like clinics and such and just explaining the process of how he approaches the guitar and how like there's one specific video I showed to all my friends of him playing as like a younger dude when he still had that Ibanez contract, and he's playing songs that like haven't fully become songs on like the Animal second album and on The Joy of Motion. And it's so it blows my mind hearing those songs as like brief demos that he's showing to a stranger at Rolling Stone that become full-fledged songs on The Joy of Motion. It's like I don't have the
Mhm.
patience and like the willingness to learn how to play these songs, and my hat goes off to anyone who does. And like just to like hear all like those cool like electronic elements. Because what happens, because I from what I understand, Naveen, who was the former drummer of the band, also was responsible for all like just like the IDM electronic elements to a lot of their songs. And when he left, that was done by other people. And like that quality of like just like the external elements of the songs, the pianos, the synth, it hasn't diminished. It has honestly improved and grown in a different way. You know what I'm saying? I found that
Hmm.
like one particular like metal band that I like, The Word Alive, still try to keep that like that synthy element to their songs, and their keyboard player was either fired or quit, and it was it wasn't hitting the same. And I think of bands that like the Devil Wears Prada, who when they I think they fired their keyboard player, they found a better one, you know what I'm saying? Or at least one that just was
Hmm.
would take it in a different direction but improved it. Same with say like a band like Minus the Bear, who prominently featured a person playing like the
Hmm.
keyboard and the Moog, like say even Motion City soundtrack. It's dangerous
Hmm.
business inviting a keyboard player into your band, especially one that plays heavier music, like say Arch Echo or even say Dream Theater. You know what I'm saying? If you're not Jason Rudess, like it's almost a waste of your time
Yeah.
considering keys in your band unless you're playing fucking ska shot at the cat bite. You know what I mean? So like
Hmm.
it's it's the way like bands like Animals have been described, that I've heard, like say Colin Young from Hard Lore describes like tech metal or like tech death or progressive metal as thinking man music. And on one hand, that can be very pretentious,
Hmm.
but it's just like these are not songs you can just like pick up and play with relatively no practice. There's a lot of just like moving parts and a lot of dun 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 ding dun, like just like start stop bullshit that people would find challenging. And that's kind of the fucking point. Like you want to, and I appreciate those kind of thrill seekers writing complicated shit that like you want to perform for others or at least for yourself, because oftentimes you're just wanking just for the sake of it, and no one wants to hear that shit if there's no just like passion in those parts. But like, because some people don't have the patience to put that shit on. Like I think at one time I played some Animals as Leaders at my when I worked at the FYE, and my boss was like, I know this is supposed to be cool, but it might alienate our customers, so don't play this. And it fucks me up that like I can't challenge, like I want to be able to play shit like Animals to people and them understanding like, oh, it's cool, like it's interesting, it's fun, it's not just there to make you feel like dumb or like I don't want to. I want anyone to be bored or like unentertained when they see a band like Animals perform or hear their songs. You know what I'm saying? With the right pair of headphones, with the right set of speakers, like it's going to take you on a journey. You know what I'm saying? And so like you'll
Which is
see.
yeah,
Hopefully you'll
which is
understand.
yeah, yeah.
Go on,
So,
please. Go on,
sorry,
please.
which is exactly what I meant when I really kind of spoke about the obvious jazz influence in it, because it is, some of the, the complexity which, can at times kind of get ridiculed about jazz, but what really makes it all the more interesting is that within that complexity is passion, you know, where it's not just this kind of ooh ha ha ha, we can, you can't dance along to something like this. This isn't something you could just pick up on. It's this kind of very legitimate, this very kind of legitimate question of like, how far can we test the limits of what is considered musically possible, which something, especially like certain jazz records from like the 70s, that kind of like, what jazz fusion would kind of create. Granted, can be hit or miss. I mean, I'm not gonna act as if like every single, like, I remember Carlos Santana getting really into jazz fusion around that time. I'm not gonna act as if every single thing he touched was gold. but you appreciated it. Same way I appreciate this,
All I want to say is that I easily prefer Into the Night featuring Chad Kroger over Smooth featuring Rob Thomas. But that's just me.
hmm Yeah.
Ayo, 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 ayo. Next
Indeed.
up is I Know the Law by Y Oak. Tell me, Aylor, do you know about this band whatsoever?
I had heard of that. I had heard of them, but I'm somewhat disappointed to say that my exposure to them had never been that vast. I mean, once again, our connection to Baltimore could be better. I mean,
Exactly.
Westmore, Westmore, please, Westmore, please, like, can you guys please make it so that we don't feel disconnected from one of the biggest cities in this entire state?
What are you
You
talking
know,
about? What are you talking about? What is that?
uh, uh,
What are you talking about?
what Westmore? He's the governor. He's the governor of Maryland. He's
What a fucking
the
fool me.
governor.
Never heard of that motherfucker before.
Yeah, he just became the governor this year, and
No shit. Okay.
can we please, yeah, can we please have a government here that stops treating Baltimore like a redheaded stepchild? Can we please get people who
Put some
like
fucking respect on Baltimore's
there's
name.
more, yeah, there's more to Baltimore other than being where the wire takes place. Yeah, jeez,
Yeah, Baltimore's on a
hold
fucking
up.
meme. It's one of the most important cities in America. Point blank
Yeah,
fucking period.
e-
One of the most important cities on the East Coast.
e-
Point blank fucking period.
exactly. So to know that Baltimore has not just its own really cool dream pop duo, this real I'm completely digging. Yeah, by all means, like dream this single that's very dream pop to the core, man. you know
Yeah. Oh, what's it cutting you off?
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay.
I was
Okay.
waiting for what you were gonna say.
Okay. So like again, I don't remember how the fuck I got into this duo, but like um it was at that point in my life where I was going back to school for broadcasting, and one of my friends at the time, he hooked me up with like this streaming service, which name I forget, but I was able to like download albums and listen to songs all the time, and I didn't have internet at the time.
Mhm,
All I had was LTE. My data coverage was dog shit,
mhm,
but like I got to like just download albums quite often. And this was one, and Shriek was one of those albums. And it's like, oh, like like they were raised in Baltimore, but they're based in Durham. But I'm just like, bro, like you're from Baltimore. That's my daddy's city. I'm supposed to respect your motherfucking name. It's like, it's really fucking weird when I hear like white people say they're from Baltimore, because I don't associate whiteness with Baltimore. I associate blackness and queerness with Baltimore.
mhm,
That's the first thing that I think of every time. So to like hear that, like, oh, Beach House, we're
mhm,
from Baltimore. Huh? How the fuck is that possible? I don't really think, oh, All Time Low,
mhm,
we're from Baltimore. What the fuck? Like,
mhm.
I can't put
Yeah.
like two and two together, because like Baltimore County to me is not Baltimore. Baltimore is like the city for me, explicitly so, personally speaking. And that's very ignorant.
Mhm,
It's very ignorant of me to say so, but I don't give a fuck. Like that's just the
mhm,
thing that I think
yeah,
of when I think of Baltimore. I think I think about
mhm,
like the regional accent. I think about the Baltimore Aquarium. I think about the crabs. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like that's I think about the Ravens and the Orioles. You know what I'm saying? I think about the Mark Train. I think about, and like I lived in Baltimore
mhm,
County for a brief period of my life, and I'm thankful for that brief period of my life. That 6 month period when I was going to like walking to school every day, listening to my iPod, listening to like A Day to Remember, Dance Gavin Dance, and like Pierce the Veil every fucking morning, The Fall of Troy, various other bullshit. That was foundational to me. But like
mhm.
like taking the bus and shit like that, going to like 3 shows, walking to Towson University, spending my money on junk food and shit like that. Very foundational shit for me. But like
Mhm.
this hip like the hipster sound that came from Baltimore, it feels like a whole other planet to me. And like I'm still getting to know Beach House. Like I hear Levitation and I want to fucking cry my eyeballs out for hours. And that's what I know the law does for me. Just like this ethereal space where like you have like the vocalist on bass and you have the drummer on keys and like percussion at the same time. Very fucking cool. And again, it's like if you can't find people to play in your band, you're gonna have to take more than one job, and that's just the way it's gonna fucking be. You know what I mean? And like these days, it's easy to loop shit if you're extremely fucking talented, like
Mhm.
Bernhoft or Elise Tro. But like if you, the song speaks for itself, it's beautiful. I love how it like and it like it ends in like it has a very chaotic ending, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
neat. It's fucking neat. You know, like give the song a shot, and this is like I'm very much like not to like shoot myself in the foot here, but like on my dating profile, it's like let me make you a playlist, and if you have a cool vibe, I'm gonna put this fucking song on your playlist, and I hope that you like it when I do.
And it's and it's very easy to kind of focus on like the vibes and the vibes in which of course that is that's that what is dream pop if not vibes. But it would be remiss for me to not like pay attention to the lyrics. In order to preserve the myth, I will answer according to it. I speak in its passage, and it keeps me safe in my skin. In order to preserve the myth, I will answer from inside of it. And I don't know. I think it's there's just something there's just something about that about how it feels. Something that I've definitely kind of it's definitely a contradiction that I feel like I've been trying to understand about myself as I grow older, where it feels like in order to cope with our reality, we kind of need to kind of find some way to reconstruct it in a way that it feels as if we're so out of step within it. But it's also kind of like how we cope, how in kind of reconstructing our reality, if we understand that what we're doing is kind of stepping out of the norm. If we're really smart, if we're really lucky, perhaps we'll find in some way to better attain ourselves within said reality. And I don't it's not I won't say the song really answers that kind of predicament, but it is something that I quite like the fact that it attempts to tackle. Did anything about the lyrics ever really get to you?
And even so, it is still together or apart. Light a little fire so you can feed it in the dark.
Mhm.
It just sounds cool, I guess. And when I was doing dishes, and I re-listened to all 6 songs before I started the stream with you tonight, and I was thinking of that one like comic panel of Calvin and Hobbes, where Calvin is like, "I obeyed the letter of the law, if not the spirit." And like I may be like perceiving it incorrectly, but it's just like I know that the rules for the most part are just like threats and they don't mean anything. They're bullshit. Like you can go to jail for feeding the homeless and shit. So like, yeah, I know the law. Like I know how I'm supposed to behave at my job. But son, when you're not looking, I'm not going to obey you. It's like like in the instance where it's me and the person like who wants my services, I'm going to take matters into my own hands if it means that they will be satisfied and will possibly come back to give me more of their money. Like
Indeed, indeed.
when I come to my job, I understand that I am the consumer is me. You know what I'm saying? Like when people come to give my store money, I am that customer. I see myself as that customer. I do not view myself as a part of the company which I work for, to be honest with you, because
Mhm.
that company does not exist to serve people that like me at my level. They're there to exploit the needs of people at my level. Like, I will certainly believe that my company has a purpose to serve in our community, in our city, but we're there to make a buck. We're not really we our selling point is that we're there to serve, but to be honest with you, we don't do everything in our power to serve at the best of our ability. And to me, that is 100% irresponsible, but I fucking digress. We have 2 songs to get through. Let's fucking do it. We saved the fucking best for last. I want all of your mind.
Okay, yeah, and okay, and and in our last stream, with the wonderful Benjamin Booker, I had two things I'd mention about our next song. A, thank you so much for putting this on the list, because originally I did have a Saint Vincent song for the list, but and it's a song that I still like. I still regard very well, but it just didn't work with the flow of everything else. And and as much as I liked it, I wouldn't say I've fallen out of love with it. I just didn't really feel like I could have like a really good conversation about it. And I didn't want to go back to this song because this was also a song that I loved, but it's also a song that I haven't listened to in so long. And this is like not just a song I love. This is a song from an album that I hold in such well regard with this artist, and but I haven't listened to in a while because A, it's been so long, and B, this artist has just kind of changed so much since then to a certain extent, that there's that part of me that was very scared that if I go back to this album, like, will I be disappointed? So, you know, so in going back, finally listening to this song for like the first time in man, how long? Thankfully, not only do I love it, not only do I still love it, right? I think I might love it just a tad bit more than I did back in 2014. And in 2014, if you were seeing my social media, I was kind of making Love in St. Vincent an annoying part of my personality at that time, because I mean, this was St. Vincent in her self-titled era, which I still consider, like, personally her best album. Which I kind of considered this era to be like, w- I don't know. I would say kind of like a bit of a homecoming for her, because like because I've been down with Saint Vincent since like 2009, when her sophomore album, I think it was called Actor came out. But the thing about Saint Vincent then, especially with her first 3 albums versus like Saint Vincent now, is that like Saint Vincent then was like so good at being tongue in cheek about her persona, that for a while I really was thinking like, man, this really like very introverted to herself person, like, does she even hold conversations like that? Like, if I was to say hi to her, or say hi to her, would she like just completely look through me? Because you look at a lot of her videos from that era, like, the Cruel music video, or the Actor Out of Work music video, where she's playing into a persona so well, that for a while I was kind of scared that, like, man, like, how do you even have a conversation with this lady? And then come right after doing the collaboration album with David Byrne, which we had spoken about previously, and my feelings on that collaboration album are still very much into. Here comes this new album where she's like she's wearing all this really interesting stuff. She's dyed her hair. Like it's gray now. One could say she looks like sexy Albert Einstein, which I think like Stephen Colbert kind of made that joke. Which and this is definitely going to get me in in quote unquote. This was definitely going to get me bonked, and I completely understand
Nah,
that.
babe, not at all, not at
I
all.
completely understand
I think
that.
it's kind of no, bro, no, bro, no, not even. This out of all like just like the I guess like simp-esque things you said since like we've done these shows, that is not even like in the top 10 of like it's just like it's just funny to hear you like bring it up because like it makes perfect sense when you say it, but I'm like, damn, like they made my boy say this shit on stream. F.
Yeah, it no, and it's especially funny considering her follow up album, in which you can Google the album cover for Mass Seduction. In spite of that,
Ass.
in spite of that, I have to be honest. I probably never. I Her subtitled era is probably the era that I have been the most attracted to her. Like that, her sitting on that throne with her very mussed up Albert Einstein esque hair is like the most I have ever been attracted to her. Which is absolutely me saying that she looked absolutely amazing back then. Like so, but I guess all of that aside, digital witness. Well, you know what? You know what's never gonna go out of style? Songs about how much being addicted to social media sucks. Which I mean, in our last stream, when we are talking about Damon Albarn, who dropped the Everyday Robots album, and the title track was very much about that. There's an interesting contrast, isn't it? I argue there's an interesting contrast with a song like Saint Vincent's Digital Witness versus Damon Albarn's Everyday Robots, where Everyday Robots, true to pretty much any Damon Albarn song, is this very kind of drab, low energy song, but it fits with the whole theme because it's about, hey, from the outside world, when you are out here staring at this thing, which guilty, with, because what else am I gonna do? We look like robots. We're everyday robots going home and all that. But you contrast that with digital witness, which is very much internally about how we feel about ourselves when we're on the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, or perhaps to whatever viewer is currently watching this right now. You believe you're a witness. You believe you're a witness to some great big communication that's happening within our time, which we're kind of constantly always made to feel like we are. I mean, when Jay-Z hopped out of his cave for like the few times he does, and came on Twitter space. Of course, I was locked in. I felt like I was a witness to one of the great hip hop artists of our time. I don't even remember what the hell he was talking about. I don't even remember what the hell
You
he
mean the
was
one where
talking
he was
about.
talking
He
to
was
Khaled about? Are you talking about like the most recent one? The one he was on
no,
on
like
stream with
no,
Khaled?
No, I did. He did another. He was on Twitter Space like back in 2021. I
For
mean,
what?
it was the one. I don't even remember. I don't even remember. I don't even remember. I think it was the one. It was okay. It was the. I all I remember was he ended up bragging about how great he is at making playlists. Which I mean, obviously, no disrespect, Mr. Carter. Everyone thinks they're boss at making playlists. I think I have some damn good playlists as well. And he also had to and true to he's kind of been in terms of talking about his wife. He also had to big up his wife. He was like, I think he said like, no offense to MJ, but like MJ never did that Coachella show because I think it was like around that time. But I don't even remember. I can't even remember. But what did I go to that stream? Yes, because I wanted to be a witness in the digital realm, with a man who I highly regard, I highly regard. And that's, I don't know. Do you find that that's kind of what our connection with social media is right now, where it's like we're very much trying to be, witnesses to the lives of people who either A, we don't know, B, even if we know, because we're so, I don't know, because we're so living within our own realms, we're only getting a certain facet of what we think is an inner reality.
One of those assholes who like is perfectly okay with their addiction to social media. I was recently on a phone call with a friend, and like I
Hmm.
asked I'm like, hey friend, have you heard of this particular just like meme in like dog culture? Because I know he has a dog, and he was aware of the concept, but not in regards to the specific meme I was referring to. And he's like, oh dude, like social media is bad for you. And I'm like, yeah, but like, who gives a fuck? Like, for me, I am addicted to human beings. And the way that like I've kind of changed in this like age of a pandemic has kind of like curbed my my opportunities to be around people. Like, I don't go to nightclubs. I don't go to clubs in general because I'm broke. But like, if I open my phone and open up a particular application, TikTok, I can spend 2 hours interacting with people's lives, hypothetically speaking. And like, I'm in my my slutty era, right? And so like it's a very like interesting it's very interesting to seeing beautiful people on your phone all the time, just like sharing their life with an audience, like putting on cool clothes, like showing off their bodies and just like telling you about their passions, whatever the fuck it might be. Like, like on some wholesome shit, it's like, oh, people building families and like being happily married or like in loving relationships, or just like being really thankful for the folks who just interacted with their shit. I am addicted to all of it. And I don't care. It's like I could be doing a lot of fucked up shit with my time, but like I just want to explore the world around me. And oftentimes to do that, you have to like know another language and have a lot of dough. And I know myself, like I don't have the patience to pick up an instrument. I most certainly don't have the patience to like learn another language, but like closed captioning exists, you know what I'm saying? And like translations exists. And so I can really just like see what the fuck is going on to an extent, you know what I'm saying? And I'm perfectly okay with that. When I think about like the thing that like St. Vincent, Miss Annie Clark is kind of like critiquing in the lyrics, it's like it's the shit where like you have like content houses where like people are just like collaborating for the fact that like, oh, we might just get on and make a shit ton of money. Like in episode 3 of Haystack Hates Your Music, we somehow start talking about Kim Kardashian, how she's the pioneer to all influencers. And on paper, that's not such a bad thing, but like but like that's just one side of like the coin. On the other side is all the bad things that have occurred with the rise of a Kardashian empire. Like pick a number, babe. There's a shit ton of them, and that's just a fact of the matter. But that's just what's gonna and I guess that's just like the thing that like Miss Clark is just warning against, because like I appreciate that, like it's like you can feel kind of like you can feel kind of like fucking superior to like those who just like buy in to the generic shit, but then like if you're just like being kind of snooty booty about the content you take in, the lyrics are about you too, you know. And I just love the and like it's so funny to me, like you were like, oh, like I love this song when it dropped, but I spent some time away from it. It's like I wish I listened to this song every day, every year when it came out, because it's addicting with the way that it sounds. Like
Yeah,
it's very like
yeah.
it's very like it's like it's a very circusy tune. It reminds me of like I wish like we need like a live we need like a full ass band to play like that horn section, like the Hypnotic Brass Orchestra who like collaborated with Gorillaz and like on Plastic
Mhm,
Beach, get
mhm.
Laura Mvula to like do the vocals. Like, this shit could be a motherfucking ska song if we really wanted to. And I'd like, but like that it's so
Ye
funny.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you mentioned before how you love Jules Holland. I also love that show. I want to be the host. And
Yes.
just her performance of this song on Jules is what makes this song to me so fucking crucial, because when Annie Clark is locked in as Saint Vincent, it's like she's in a trance. Like her eyes are all big, and she's a really good fucking guitar player, and she's always wearing some kind of weird fashion, you know what I'm saying? She's like Gaga with a guitar. Like
Mhm.
listening to this song is like the white people version of Parliament Funkadelic, you know what I'm saying? And
Yes,
just the way that
yes, yes.
and just the way that
Which,
like
I'll
she
talk
hold
more
on,
about that, but
wait.
you go first. Yeah, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm almost done. I promise.
No,
Just the way
yeah,
that,
yeah.
just the way that she sings, people turn the TV on, it looks just like a window. Yeah. Just, it's just like, it's, she's so
Mhm.
weird. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you can't look away because it's just like, what is she doing to me? But
Okay.
you were saying, sir.
Okay, so okay, one thing that I've always said about how I see this album, how I've seen this album in retrospect, and this was even something I was kind of saying about this album then, was like this was especially this was took 2 years after the collaboration album with David Byrne, the Love This Giant album, which those two albums share a producer, but I do believe, and I kind of and look and hey, and not trying to shade Jack Antonoff, but I kind of prefer the stuff she did with this producer versus what she's doing with Jack Antonoff. I mean, like,
Oh, are you
but
referring to John Congleton?
yes, yes, I believe so. I believe so. Uh, but okay, but yeah, but one thing I'd always said was I've always said, and I think you've heard me say this multiple times. In fact, I probably even have said this in one of our previous scenes. Is that did this self-titled album is when she made that transitional point from being an artist who was influenced by David Byrne and Talking Heads to being an artist who is a contemporary to David Byrne and very much an equal to David Byrne. And one of those reasons I said that was, yeah, when you that verse, people turn the TV on, it looks just like a window. It reminds me of Talking Heads burning down the house, which oddly enough is very very influenced by Parliament Funkadelic, was influenced by their experience at a Parliament Funkadelic song. It's like the rhythms of people turn the TV on looks just like a window. It reminds me so much of when David says, "Here's your ticket, pack your bag, it's time for jumping overboard," and just that kind of weird sequitur
Ooh.
is burning down the house. And that was something I had already noticed even back in 2014. And the fact that I don't even it's like I don't even know if she was trying, perhaps. I mean, it is coming after Love This Giant, and they, those two albums share a producer, and yet the fact that it's like you it's like it was her not trying to, but fully kind of stepping into that creative force that David had gotten into, and stepping in it, in that she also understood it wasn't just so much that she was influenced by David, probably, perhaps, would make so much sense, but she was smart enough to be taken from the same influences that David did. And yeah, this is a really funky track. This is a really funky track, and yet kind of done in that kind of like how Talking Heads was this kind of white ironic take on funk music. It is kind of that St. Vincent tongue in cheek, take as well, granted with also really cool blistering guitar solos, which, yeah, like, add that and the white hair, like, once again, probably the most I've ever, and with that
You
with that
don't have
said,
to keep
of course,
bringing it
Saint
up.
Vincent,
You don't have to keep bringing it
you
up.
know you know but yeah, I mean, I don't know, I was going through
Bonk.
it in 2014, but yes, yeah, I mean, but yeah, this was a
Self-fulfilling
really
fucking
interesting
prophecy.
time. Yeah, this was a really interesting
It
time
was.
because,
It was.
along with dropping this album, along with just dropping this album, which she would also end up being a musical guest on SNL, the Andy Samberg episode. She would also end up performing with the surviving members of Nirvana, because this was also the same year that Nirvana would be inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they did a really smart thing, and I really don't like to do the whole, well, what would Kurt Cobain think if he was still around, because he's not
He'd be super into
he's
that.
not
He'd be totally like. Well, if we're being
Yeah,
fucking honest with
but
you, everyone they
yeah,
chose to play with the band that night easily would have, like, he would have been a fan of. And frankly, and for being
eh,
fucking frank, all they would have really had to
yeah.
do was go get the original fucking guy who played drums for Nirvana, bring him out of fucking retirement, have Dave do lead vocals, problem fucking solved if they really wanted to. But again, everyone they chose to perform with them that night, I have no doubt in my fucking mind, Kurt would have been a fan of. No
Oh
question.
yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean when I say, like, even though I don't like to do the whole, well, what would Kurt think? I was like, oh yeah, Kurt would absolutely have loved this. And I think
No doubt in
this
my
the
mind.
selection they got, yeah, the selection they got was really lovely. They had Joan Jett doing Smells Like Teen Spirit. They had Lord doing All Apologies, and they had Saint Vincent doing Lithium. And like, and that's what I mean when, and Saint Vincent already had attention. I mean, I think she had done stuff on, like, she had been performing on, like, the Conan show and stuff like that. But man, I don't know. There's something about that transit, what this album did, and that kind of transition. It really helped bring for Saint Vincent, which, granted, her audience could become less, hipster guys like me, and more,
Nope.
people who were, uh, it,
Everyday
yeah, yeah,
people, not happening.
yeah. But the fact that, like, years later, at the Grammys, I think she was performing with Dua Lipa,
They
and
did Mass
there's,
Seduction, and a really, like, in my opinion, a very just like
mm,
gross like nod to like Aretha Franklin that nobody asked for. Well, let me not shit on Lipa or
mm,
Clark. They did what they were
yeah,
asked. They
mhm,
shouldn't have been fucking
yeah,
asked. They should have got somebody who Aretha actually fucking liked to do like a proper tribute to. but the Academy
Mhm.
is stupid. And that is a very just like mean thing to say. But I hate the Academy. I'm gonna like someday I'm
Mhm.
gonna be nominated for something and I'm gonna shit on them on national TV because I hate them. They are so bad at doing their
Mhm.
job, and I hate them. If like
Uh, you
if
know,
you really care for music and you're a part of the Academy, why?
it it and all I'm
Absolutely
gonna say
terrible.
about the Academy is um we I remember who won Album of the Year this year. Um, and no comment.
You should be
No comment.
fucking ashamed
That's
of yourself.
you know,
Fucking
jeez.
ashamed of
But
yourself. Here, let's just fucking talk about it honestly. Like
yeah,
for Harry Styles,
yeah,
no,
it's
listen, but
yeah,
hold
yeah.
on though. If we're
Mhm.
being honest with
Go
ourselves,
for it.
it's not as if Harry Styles is a bad artist. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He is a competent artist in regards to like I'm not sure how good his pen game is, so I won't comment on his songwriting skills. But like he's compelling. Let's just say that. The people who love him for a reason. And I won't hold that
Mhm.
against you. I didn't like how, I didn't like that bit with Chris Pine. I'm like, oh, that just looked weird. But that's neither here nor there. I thought that has nothing to do with the music. You know what I'm saying? Cause say I loved Adore You. That song music
Mhm.
is a perfect pop song. And I would like Watermelon Sugar if it wasn't so annoying. I don't enjoy listening to that song.
Very.
And I love what the
Yeah.
song is about. Rest assured I do, but I don't enjoy listening to that shit. Like Adore You, fucking perfect. I don't know if there's anything good on the first album that he put out, but like I'm all for like a pop star continuing to make pop music, but just like it's
Mhm.
fucking ignorant. It's fucking ignorant. I'm just waiting for somebody to be brave enough to say, say like you and I win a Grammy for some shit.
Mhm.
And clearly, like the
Mhm.
favorite for that award is in the room, and everyone's fucking confused. All you gotta say is, I shouldn't be up here. It should be that artist instead. And we all fucking know it. Thanks, anyhow, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
fucking do. And like, it's not about you at all, but just to be like, she's right there, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking
And that's
ignorant. And son, and not
yeah.
for nothing. He looked miserable that
Yeah.
night. I don't know what's going on in dude's life, and it's none of my fucking business. But like,
Mhm.
I really do hope that like he's okay. Like he's that like
Mhm.
because like it doesn't like because like I wouldn't want to be in his position if I'm being honest with you. And I imagine him at some like it must be fun to be Harry Styles to like wear clothes that you like and to like perform all over the fucking world as your job. It must be a blast. But like he didn't look like he wanted to fucking be there. And that's what I don't like about the fucking Grammys. Like it could be like it's like they market that motherfucker as like, oh, this is music's biggest night in the United States of America. It very well could be if you actually gave a fuck about music, but you don't. It's quite clear that you don't. You should be fucking ashamed of yourselves.
And I'm never gonna take anything away from Mr. Styles' talent. I don't consider myself a fan, but I'm not gonna act as if he hasn't dropped some songs that I think are neat here and there. I mean, shout out to Late Night Talking. And I think I remember he did this one song called
Look,
None of Your Business. My issues with Harry Styles, which granted some and it's I guess considering the group he came out of and the direction he could have taken, which he could easily have tried to do, which granted I think I don't know, one of the other guys did, where they were really trying to go that justified era Justin Timberlake route, which you can't do that anymore, man. It was Justin Timberlake already did that 20 years ago. It's not fresh anymore, man. But whatever, but for Harry to kind of go in the direction he did, granted, one much more of a classic, really, really classic rock, classic pop one. I think he did it well. I think, of course, the frustration I have of it is that there now kind of comes this perception of like, oh wow, Harry Styles is like completely like, be I think uh, be doing a good job in approximating your influences does does not equal you actually being in leagues with your influences if you are not like adding adding a lot a lot a lot adding a lot of interesting stuff into it. And it's funny because I was just talking about how I felt this album how with St. Vincent with her self-titled album was when she was able to very as much as she took from her influences, she was really able to make it her own. And I guess that's my problem with Harry Styles. I still don't feel like he's in a position where he has made his influences his own. He's been able to bring them out very well. Like you can tell when a song is very like As It Was, and it's clearly being influenced by wow, geez, man, I can't believe I'm forgetting their names right now. The Take On Me people, the Take On Me people,
Oh,
like
aha.
yeah, aha, like how As It Was is clearly very influenced by by aha, and and it does it very, very well. But that's just the thing, it does it well. It does it well. I don't feel like anything is really being added in this conversation that it's like that that we that you couldn't just have gotten by listening to aha. I don't know what's being added
I
by
feel that
you
loud
being
and clear.
influenced, and that's the frustration I really kind of get when he gets this mega praise fest. It's like, no, he's just really, really good in taking his classic rock, classic pop influences, but he doesn't really add anything to it. And and then we go into this situation at the Grammys where all right, okay, he wins a Grammy here and there. Cool. Yo, I'm not gonna front. People were listening to that thing. When I got into a car, I ended up having to listen to it. But look, and man, and this isn't even me trying to get like sympathy, sympathy from from the hive or anything like that. But man, but don't act as if Renaissance, which granted, yes, also wore its 90s house influence on its sleeve, but but with an artist who has
It was
been in
actually
this
fucking
game,
interesting.
who has studied so long and hard this thing that yes, she is very much in her own interest in in her own interest in pop lane. But Beyonce doing a house record is very much Beyonce, like truly not just being a student, but trying to understand where these house records that she is studying from begin, and where she ends as an artist. And for her to just and it happened, and it was one thing with Beck, it was one thing with Adele, but now you want to convince me this Harry Style record is where it's at, that this is what we should remember 2022 in terms of high quality music with. It's like this is where it begins. I'm like, oh, just
Go fuck
stop it. Just
yourself.
stop it, man. So yeah, that's I mean, that situation. I wasn't even planning on watching the Grammys. I was just bored, and I would have, and like, and like so and other certain other wins of the night, it's cool. It's cool. Shout out to once again, shout out to Robert Glasper, but man, but yeah, that album of the year stuff just let the bad taste in it. Man, Beck understood that it was a shock that he won album of the year. Adele understood that Beyonce deserved that. But Harry wants to, look, hey, Harry, get your accolades, get your money. Keep on putting yourself in a place where we never think of One Direction ever again. Much like how with Phil Collins, you probably don't think of Genesis, but man,
He
but
definitely
come on,
does, though.
let's keep it real, man. Yeah, yeah, no, but but
Hey,
we gotta keep it real, man. We gotta keep it real. Yeah.
hey, we've been recording
Mm-hmm.
for 2 hours and 5 minutes, and it's now 3 in the morning. And so here's what I propose. Here's what I propose. Hear me out
Mm-hmm.
on this.
Mm-hmm.
Today on YouTube, and I think you're probably, if you go to your library, you'll see this too. The winter recap came out. And what's interesting about the winter recap is that it's 8
Mm-hmm.
songs, and like the 2002 recap was 100. And I'm like, cool, I'm turning this fucking winter recap into content. And but it's only 8 songs. And I'm like, no, this is unacceptable. I need 10 songs. And so I'm like, cool, I'll reach out to some homies and we'll make it into some content. I'm just gonna make it you, because we've been talking for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We should wrap up because again, it's really late, but we still haven't talked about It's Holy by Veruca Salt. So in honor of
Okay.
that, I'm just gonna make it the first, because I want it to be a station head stream, and I'm gonna make It's Holy the first
Mm-hmm.
song. And then you can take all the notes that you take in regards to talking about the song, and we can talk about it on that broadcast. And then I want you to pick your favorite song from this last winter. It can be whatever song you want, and it will close the show for that broadcast.
Uh,
I'll
so
host it
okay, so for winter, so this past winter,
this last
my
winter.
favorite songs.
This one,
Okay,
your
yeah, yeah.
favorite song, your favorite fucking song. In fact, I want
My
you, like, when we finish
mhm.
this stream, go to your library on your YouTube account and see if like you have a winter recap set aside for you from YouTube itself, because that's why I'm even doing this in the first place. And
Okay.
this has been a fruitful conversation and a fruitful dialogue. And this is going to be
Mhm.
like the last thing people hear from us for a little while, because there's, like I said, like there's a lot of shit going on in America. There's a lot of shit going on in our respective towns. There's a lot of shit happening in like our
Mhm.
extracurriculars, in our personal lives, in our professional lives. So hopefully we will be back before you all by the middle of April. I'm hoping to get back with Aelor by April 2nd, so we can like have an actual conversation about when we want to get back with y'all, because in preparation for like 2017, when we eventually link back up with Mr. Benjamin Booker, like we've already like built the playlist for our 25 stream, tentatively titled Ken Mide's Quince. So like we're already looking forward to doing that for y'all. We're probably gonna do the same thing for 2016, and just like start building that once we know when we're gonna like get the streaming date for the 2015 recap. It's eh, very exciting fucking times. Earlier today, we recorded episode 3 of Haystack Hates Your Music. We have a new episode, I think episode 27 of the Catter Canard podcast later in April as well. And I wasn't even planning on like this winter 2022
Mhm.
this winter 2023 recap, but I'm like, if YouTube's gonna keep on giving me free gifts, I'm gonna make use of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm turning that shit to motherfucking content. And so like I'm very excited to like link up with Aelor again. I'm always excited to talk to him, because we often go deep even when nobody's listening to our conversations. And so I'm very thankful for him for being here, and I'm very thankful to 16 Parker for randomly dropping in and not acknowledging him. I wasn't sure if it was a troll or not, so I didn't want to say anything. But yo, thank you for giving us some viewership tonight. We really appreciate that. Aylor, is there anything else you want to talk about that we didn't get a chance to say before we go?
Once again, I'm always just thankful to be a part of to be a part of this, and and with all that's going on in the world, and I guess, to anyone who considers themselves of a spiritual bent, I would say, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that I guess to anyone who ascribes to the quote unquote power of prayer, I say, I mean, I think there's a lot of things and a lot of people that could sure use it. I say, pray to Atlanta. Got to stop Cop City, man. I'm not down. I'm not down with it. I'm not down with that stuff. Pray to Philly.
Justice por Tortuguita.
hmm Pray to Philly. I really hate that. I really hate that. With Flint, it got normalized the situation that they were in, and that is never going to be cool with me. I'm always going to feel some type of way about that, and I I truly do not I can truly cannot be proud to live in a world where we're just kind of like, oh yeah, that situation in Flint, well, yeah, that's that situation. Yet alone for it to spread to Philly, where in a situation where this man, you know, had to spend his hard-earned money, have to get this bottled water, and I know how they're gonna, and I know how the price is gonna end up on water. And no, that is inexcusable to me, man. That is incredibly inexcusable to me. I'm not down with that. I'm not down with that at all. So I don't know. So if hey, I'm not in Philly. I'm not in Philly, but if this ends up being a situation where you're gonna be out on the streets, you definitely have my support on all that. No questions asked. No questions asked. Um, and I guess in the end, hey, I know things in the world right now. I mean, things in the world and building our lives was still trying to figure a lot of stuff out. And hey, I hope we all find what we're looking for. That's something. I mean, there's a lot of things in my life that I'm still trying to kind of understand where I fit in and all of that stuff. And and sometimes I think I'm close to it, and other times I'm not sure if it's going fast enough. But I'm thankful nonetheless to have moments like this. I'm thankful to once again another day of being having to doing the show with this man who has many eclectic other shows he has done with other great people, and I am always thankful that he chooses for me to be one of those people. So thank you. Thank you guys. He's not on the show, but once again, thank you, Benjamin Booker, for being on our last show. I remain very grateful for that. And don't and yeah, I will be replying to your DMs pretty soon. Just living life, but I'm gonna make sure to still be in conversation with you, because it's not every day that someone who you once saw on national TV years ago, now is acknowledging your presence. So shout out to that man. And shout out to you guys for listening. And just thank you guys for listening. Thank you to this man for inviting me. And hey, just hope that I just hope and pray that I keep on living enough to keep on giving you guys, to keep on being a part of something, not just cool stuff like this, but other cool stuff as well. That when that all happens, I look forward to sharing with you guys. But thank you guys all the same. Yeah.
As per usual, our calls to action are as follows. Wear a mask when you leave your house, over your nose, under your mouth. Look at yourself in the mirror, in your selfie camera. Please tell yourself that you love yourself. If you don't, please know that I, myself, Kate Kennard, and my co host, Aylor, love and support you in the most platonic way possible. Please stay hydrated, have water every so often, as much as you can stand the shit. And in the wise words of Eichelers, eat the rich, feed the kids, don't grow up to be a capitalist. We'll see you in April. We sincerely appreciate your time. Godspeed. And as Aylor says on his own broadcast over on Station Head, um, it's goodbye, but not farewell. Yeah, is that the line?
Yeah. Goodbye, but not farewell. Indeed.
Goodbye, but not farewell. Until next time, we sincerely appreciate you all. We are Ken Mide, and this has been Fortuitous Sport Notes from 2014. Thanks.